All right, so we're going to take a look at verifying double angle identities. Remember, you always start on the most complicated side, and you have to know your identity. So the most complicated side is on the right-hand side. Let's rewrite this. So how do I write tan? Sine over cosine. All right, 1 plus tan squared, I know is secant squared. So again, make sure you're going back to your formula sheet and looking. So that's going to be secant squared. All right, so the top is going to stay the same, and then I can expand secant squared. I know secant squared is 1 over cosine squared. And again, you have to get good at knowing these formulas. All right, we're going to keep, change, and flip. So keep the top, change division to multiplication, flip the bottom. All right, what can I do? I can cross out 1 cosine on top and bottom. So it'll leave me 2 sine theta cosine theta. All right, we just learned that that is the double angle formula for sine. So that's sine of 2 theta. And we've just proven the right with the left. So you got to kind of try and just go till you can find it. So the more complicated side is the left side. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. What is this squared? We're going to multiply it out. So it's sine theta plus cosine theta times cosine theta plus cosine theta. Same thing twice. Multiply it out. Sine times sine, sine squared. Sine times cosine, that's sine cosine. So that's plus, right? All right, cosine times sine, that's going to be plus again, plus cosine sine. Last one, cosine times cosine, cosine squared, plus. All right, so let's combine what we know. So we know sine squared plus cosine squared is equal to what? 1. Again, knowing your identities. Okay, so that's going to be 1. And then we have sine, cosine, the same thing added together is going to be 2 of them. So 2 sine theta cosine theta. And we know that that's a double angle identity. So we know that that simplifies to sine of 2 theta. So it's going to be 1 plus sine of 2 theta. And is that what we're looking for? It is. So we have verified the left and the right. This is a listening check, color in 1 plus sine 2 theta. All right, I'll do one more example, and then you can try one. All right, so again, we start with the most complicated side, which is the right-hand side. We have cosine of 2 theta, so let's go see what double angle identity. Now, we know there are 3 of them, so which do I pick? Since the denominator has a cosine squared, I'm going to pick the one with cosine squared. So that's going to be 2 cosine squared x minus 1. That's the one that we're going to use. All right, so I'm going to replace cosine 2 theta with that. Then cosine squared is cosine squared. I'm going to separate the fractions. So I'm going to put the first part over cosine squared and then the second part over cosine squared. Okay, now that we've done that, what can we do? All right, well, I can simplify the first fraction. Those cross out and leaves just 2. Minus 1 over cosine squared is what? Secant. So that's going to be 2 minus secant squared. And again, that's if you didn't know the identity. What is secant? Well, I know the identity with a squared term with secant is tan squared plus 1 is secant squared. All right, I'm going to rearrange this. Actually, I don't need to rearrange it at all. I'm just going to replace secant squared with tan squared plus 1. So 2 minus tan squared plus 1. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and distribute that negative in. So I'm going to have 2 minus tan squared and then minus 1. All right, what's 2 minus 1? 1. So I have 1 minus tan squared theta, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. So verifying the left and the right side. All right, so you do have to know your trig identities. Go ahead and try that one on your own. Let's practice.